Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, and since it is another day that ends in a Y, it is the Rings of Power once again, not only destroying a great character, but enormous gaslighting that would light up the sky like the northern lights, like the greatest sunburst from the sun. These people are such G- jerks. I can't even begin to say it. I am in a rage right now, and I think I'm going to feel good because I am PIS, you know what, indeed. And we are looking here with Steve Kenobi, all the way from the future, the Viking himself.
Hi.
Hi, you're so calm.
Yeah, because I'm from the future
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm not a woman.
Oh, hey, you know what? I am taking my feminine rage. There is a
That's fine. Yeah, I play D&D with three women. I'm used to it.
yeah. Well, there is a tempest in me. I mean, listen, I knew it was going to be ridiculous. But when those human, whatever you want to call them, started the
Garbage?
gaslighting. Sorry, what'd you say?
Human garbage?
Yes, human garbage. Thank you. Yes, Adega Outlaw is with us. He has given us the fire emojis. We are mad. I mean, on so many levels to be mad. Now, when I first heard they
Are
were,
we sure though? Adega is Native American. It could be smoke signals. It could be trying to tell us something that we don't understand.
oh my gosh. Well, there's three of them. Hey, yo. Yes, hello. Yeah, Adega. Yeah, for those of you that'll be watching here on the replay, be sure to check out Adega Outlaw. He was on Pub Crawl last week. It was fun.
Yeah, good fellow. And he's an actual writer too. He's written a bunch of books.
You can find him on Amazon, and I think you can find it under Adega Outlaw Evolution, I believe. So we digress. Now, I knew that they were going to be doing Tom Bombadil because it was one of the leaks. I thought it was interesting that they didn't put it in the trailer, the teaser trailer that they had. And then when I woke up today, once again, kind of loving life, thinking of peace on earth, goodwill towards men, and that popped up on my timeline. It is
Oh,
worse than I thought it was going to be. I mean,
well,
I knew it was going to be ridiculous.
it's not really Tom Bombadil. It's an entirely different character, guaranteed.
Yep.
So I'm calling him Tom Bombadildo, and he's married to Dangleberry.
Thank you. Thank you for also self censoring. Yes. Well, here he is. I mean,
Yeah,
look at that. I mean, what
you know
on
what?
earth?
You know what?
What?
I'm I'm gonna make a prediction.
Okay.
He's gonna be the one that gives Gandalf his hat, because Gandalf doesn't have a hat in this show yet.
Oh, you are correct. Because look at him. He's he's worse than a homeless man. I mean, calling him a homeless man is an insult. Oh,
Yeah, kind of, because they're probably in his home.
there we go.
But
The
yeah,
third Vian.
it looks like, well, it looks like cosplay, but if you look at his the sleeve of his right arm,
Yeah,
it looks almost plastic the way it folds,
you're right.
like it's some kind of you know sweatsuit arm.
Yeah, or like something on Star Trek, with those
Yeah,
materials. I
it,
think this is very Photoshop because when you look at the beard, also in the face on this. Oh,
they
yeah,
they uh, they did cast a great actor to play him, Rory Kinnear. He's fantastic.
yeah.
He is prob maybe the one who does the best acting on Penny Dreadful. So,
Mm,
uh, but why he would want to be there, sullying Tolkien's work is beyond me.
money.
His dad was the one who died shooting one of the Musketeer movies. He played Planchet, D'Artagnan's servant.
Oh yeah, that was. tragedies. He was also in Scrooged in lots of movies. Let's Viva Vianetta. Hello, thank you. Let's go. Let's rage this nonsense. Darn right. Big Outlaw says the smoke signals are getting no signal strength. I'm outside the surface area. Well, thank you. Now, in all these pictures, what struck me is we have not seen Goldberry, have we?
No,
Not at all. And I have a suspicion I know why.
race and gender swapped or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. And the fact that they didn't want to put him in the trailer shows me that maybe they're a little ashamed. They know that there's going to be some backlash because, of course, as we know, he doesn't really look like him. Via
Well,
Vivietta says,
he looks really off, but it's not like he looks completely not like him either. You know, but it's just the writing is so bad, and it has nothing to do with Tolkien. But basically, what they're doing, and this is the same thing that was done to the Shannara show, the Sword of Truth show, The Witcher, Wheel of Time, season 5 and onwards of Game of Thrones, is that you have a bunch of ego-filled narcissists that have gotten a hold of stuff someone else created, and they're just using the characters as little action figures to play around with in their own personal sandbox. So they're basically making up stories of their own with other people's characters, and that's even happened with Star Wars. I mean, Dave Filoni did it all through the Clone Wars and what have you. Just used characters he found in comics, and they didn't even end up resembling the same character except for the physical look, right? So it's this is definitely a pattern, and it's repeating itself over and over and over again, the same way. Like, hey, yeah, this is totally Tolkien. We have Goldberry in it, doing stuff that Tolkien never had to do.
Making her, they'll probably make her a girl boss.
I don't know. She's probably in charge of, the marriage.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, George R.R. Martin just said a really good quote, and so did Sanderson. He even mentioned it using the Rings of Power also, and even the Wheel of Time. He kind of slipped that in. So the man that finished the Wheel of Time, he knows what's up too. Maybe I'll do a video about that another time. He was fantastic in Penny Dreadful. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing about the Rings of Power. I think when you look at the quality of the actors they have chosen, it's fantastic. They're all great stage and screen actors, a lot of them character actors, because I've seen almost all of them in something else.
Yeah.
But they're giving them crap to do. And it's just really sad.
I bet you all of them signed on because they thought, oh crap, Tolkien and stuff. This is probably going to be the next Game of Thrones. This is my big break. Right?
Yep.
And then this happens.
Yep. All of them want to be the next Game of Thrones. And that's just a whole other problem.
Yeah, that's what they market it as too. This is going to be Amazon's Game of Thrones or something. But Morfydd Clark, who's gotten a lot of stick because of the, bad acting or whatever you want to call it, she's not a bad actress at all. I've seen her in other things. She's very solid. She's a good actress. But if you look at the lines she's given and the scenes she's in, anyone would look terrible in that. Plus, she's miscast.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, she would be better as Goldberry, wouldn't she?
Oh, you know what? She would be lovely as Goldberry.
Yeah, but she's like 2 feet too short to play Galadriel. Something like that. But it's the scenes that she's in are so poorly written and so dumb
Mhm.
that it makes her and everyone else in the scene look like terrible actors.
Yeah. And not to mention their directing and the way it's
Yeah,
shot. I shared, I think with you and others, just a great video of his anachronism history, I think is what he calls himself. He's a stage stunt actor, and he points out why it all looks bad, and it has to do with the filming. That actually the actors and choreographers did what you're supposed to do, but they're supposed to be filmed at a certain angle. Because he says, of course, you're not supposed to hit the person when you're fighting, but they filmed it so you could see that they actually weren't hitting them. That was the job of the photographer, not the job of the
yeah.
actor, certainly. And
It's
even
it's fine if it happens once, because
Mhm,
one bad shot slipped through, kind of
mhm.
like when Luke kicks the guy on the barge in Return of the Jedi. You see it doesn't connect at all,
Yes, I
you
remember
know.
that. Mhm.
But that's like one.
Yeah.
This is like entire fight scenes
Yep.
where you could tell it to tell there's no connection, and I bet you they did it like that, and then they figured, oh yeah, the CGI people are gonna fix it and make it look awesome, and
Mhm.
they just didn't do it, you know.
Yeah. And trust me, if we can see it, the actors can see it, and I bet they're mortified. But anyways, this is let the gaslighting begin. They're talking about how Bombadil was not in any other adaptation. Now, old Tom, as the books refer to him, is finally getting his moment in the sun.
Yeah,
I mean,
by being not him at all, just him in name only.
yeah. And they're saying they're gaslighting and saying, oh, well, the gaslighting comes later, rather, but they're just like, he's finally here. Rings of Power is breaking the tradition of exclusion. And along with his jolly songs and his flamboyant wardrobe, they're going to have him singing.
Yeah, and his wardrobe doesn't even look that flamboyant in the picture.
No, it doesn't look like
Just
what he wears.
looks like one of the what is it, Harfoots?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, right. That's right. That's exactly what he looks like. They all look like homeless, and I wish it were mine, but Jonathan from the OneRing.com always calls it the dirty little sociopaths because that's
Yeah,
what they are. Yeah. And he's this, see, and this is where they say a bit of truth with a lot of BS. Bombadil was described as older than the old. It's like, yes, in Tolkien's books, that is how he was described, who
yeah.
began life.
He's described like that in the Tolkien books that Amazon don't have the rights to.
Mm-hmm.
They, they have the rights to the Lord of the Rings, and he's in it. That's why they're using him.
Yep. Now check this one out. They're addressing everyone saying it breaks canon or whatever. Began life around the time all life began. That's true. So his existence in this earlier era, thousands of years before the events of the Lord of the Rings, fits within the canon established by the author.
No, it doesn't, because he has a scene with Gandalf, and Gandalf looks young. He has never looked young. The wizards always looked the way you see them in the movies.
Mm-hmm. Well,
They,
and they
they,
didn't even come till the Third Age.
yeah, they popped up looking like old men, and they never changed.
Mm.
That's the form they took.
They're Meyer. They're not humans. They're not like Superman who came as a baby
Yeah,
and then grew up.
they're not supposed to age like humans or age at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. But also, listen to the way, again, the gaslighting.
Yeah,
Since he existed before time, he fits within the canon. It's like, just because he was there from the dawn of time, that doesn't mean he fits within Tolkien's Legendarium, because this is not how he wrote him.
You know what
It's like
else
they're
they
trying
might
to
do?
say, see, it goes with Tolkien.
You know what else they're going to put into the show eventually?
What?
Smaug.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's alive before the Hobbit, right? That means they can use him.
Yeah. Now
Then they'll
check
have
this
a
out.
Benedict Cucumber bitch voice him.
You're right. Guaranteed he'll have on his jacket. Now check this out.
Heck, his outfit, like flamboyant and all kinds of colors. They're going, oh, that means rainbow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them.
No. And they're saying Tolkien saw Bombadil as nature personified. Check this out. Right up to the character's ambivalence about interfering in the larger world around him. And that's why, for example, Gandalf was saying we can't use Bombadil because he would just probably forget about the ring. He'd be like, oh, look, squirrel. I mean, so because he has that ambivalence about interfering with the larger world around him, that left showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay to figure out exactly how he might turn up into the show and why. So they're just now contradicting themselves.
You know, here's the thing. The how and why is what doesn't work.
Yes.
You know,
They
that's
just,
that's a thing with all kinds of shows and stuff now. You know, the franchise, you know, Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. Any good writer can always explain to the reader who, how, and why. Right?
Mhm.
If the author and the reader knows who, how, and why, you've done a pretty good job because the story will be solid.
Yeah.
The main problem today is that they can't do the how.
Yeah.
And how is usually what breaks the lore.
Yeah.
When they can't do it right. I mean, saw it in, you know, Star Wars. How can Luke Skywalker die from a force overdose? It's impossible.
You cannot.
Because you guide the force. You know the force is your ally. You don't drink it.
Ugh.
So it's the how and the, you know, the hyperspace ramming. How?
Yeah. Well,
Doesn't
and
work.
not just that, they just got done saying it fits within the canon. And then they say, well, because he didn't interfere, we had to figure out how to put him in. It's like they're talking out of both sides of their mouths. They just admitted it doesn't fit. That's the other thing. And the how. How can you do the how that Tolkien didn't how? You can't. How do you write the symphony Beethoven didn't write? You can't do it. It's like, well, one time he used 3/4 in the time signature, so we're going to use 3/4. No. You stupid dumbass. I think Outlaw says, you need intelligence to do the who, how, and why. You're asking a lot of these smooth brain people. Well, and not just the who, how, and why. Okay, if it's their own story, but how do I who, how, and why what Tolkien didn't write?
Yeah.
How do I who, how, and why Shakespeare? How do I who, how, and why Jane Austen? Heck, how do I who, how, and why George Lucas?
Well, you know, these people have the blueprints in front of them. They have the rights to the Lord of the Rings. All they have to do is read it. You know, it's all there. So they have the how right in front of them. And they have a team of writers and all kinds of, you know, shill sites that actually do know a little bit about Tolkien. Right? And they still can't do the how.
Well, they can't do the how because they chose not to actually adapt the material in which they have the rights. They tried to do their own story within the material.
Yeah. And heck, you know, even I managed to do the who, how, and why when we played D&D.
Exactly. Actually,
Right?
it's quite epic.
And uh, I'm not a writer, you know, I don't have a team around me, and whatever else. It's not that hard. It's just ask how does this work, or
Yeah.
how doesn't it work? And with this, it's like the how is you know, how can Gandalf be there when he's not supposed to be there until the third age? Oh, it doesn't work.
Hmm.
You need something else.
Because everything that Tolkien wrote and put into that had a reason to be there.
Yes.
Everything. Now, I understand why there's a reason why they have not adapted Tom Bombadil, because even though he has a reason to be there, and we're going to talk about this in a second, it's very difficult to adapt onto the screen. Peter
Yeah,
Jackson, sorry,
he's not gonna look good no matter how you do it.
no, he can't.
Because even Tolkien said, he said Bombadil doesn't really contribute anything to the narrative at all, but he felt for personal reasons that it was important to have him in anyway, because you know he tells the readers something,
Hmm.
right? But you can cut that chapter out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even Peter Jackson, as he was adapting, he felt like he just couldn't include it, even when he was working within the narrative of the Lord of the Rings. Now, I know what you mean about that quote from Tolkien, but Tom Bombadil actually does do something, and I'm going to bring this up in a second.
Yeah, the dagger thing.
Yes, the daggers. And that's
Yeah,
one of those situations very similar to the mercy of Bilbo with Gollum, where he had no idea that by that act of mercy, by not killing Gollum, that is actually what made saved the world. And you don't even know it when it's happening. And he's like, "Oh yeah, have these daggers, kids." And then that led to the greatest assist in history, better than any World Cup. It was when Mary did the assist to help Eowyn kill the Witch King. Smash that like button. Hello, hello, Soul Assassin. Only Odin Moving God could play Tom Bombadil. No, no one can play Tom. Though he does have a beard, but no. I mean, look at him. He looks silly. He looks blank. He looks like there's
he he,
something wrong with him. This is not
he
a man with the
also
wisdom of the ages.
he also looks like, well, you know, this is just a shot though. It could be comes up as really wise in the show, but
He's
he
wise
looks
but
like
silly, and silly in his wisdom.
he looks like he's wearing a fake beard and a wig.
Yeah, exactly. This is okay. I once was in a play for The Hobbit. This is the way we had Gandalf look. We went to the local costume store, and it was some teenage kid putting on a beard. That's what it looks like. And Tom Bombadil is supposed to be like shiny and bright. I mean, he looks unkempt.
Yeah,
He has like a strange magic just flowing through him that's ineffable. And I just love about Tolkien. This is what I love about his writings. He will put things in, and even in his commentary on his writings, he will put things in. And sometimes he'll be like, I just don't know, but it just happened. Like my boy Faramir. He just showed up in the story. And ugh. But listen to what these dorks say. It's a little bit of what I was raging about. There's a reason why he hasn't been in prior adaptations, because in some way he's sort of an anti-dramatic character. You see how they have little bits of truth but not complete truths? It's like,
oh yeah, this is that bitch. That's the show writer too.
yeah. And it's like, no, that's not really why he wasn't in. Peter Jackson, objectively speaking, is a phenomenal storyteller. And he knew what he was doing when he left it out. I mean, I think it would have made the movie be incredibly silly.
Yeah, and you know the way they left it out was that they could have run into Tom Bombadil. We just didn't see it because we see all those long travel shots, right?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So they could have run into Bombadil before they we get to the part where they see the elves.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of time going
Yeah, and I
there.
like the way they said that too. The answer, Soul Assassin. Yes, and so you can kind of imagine that yourself. Soul Assassin, no. The answer is no. Tolkien was adamant.
He's
There
more of
were,
a fairy spirit,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. He did not like allegory, and this is a continuous thing that I have to reiterate. Let me put it to you that way: that because Tolkien had such a strong Orthodox Catholic faith, he really didn't like anything explicitly religious or anything that could be a one-to-one correlation, though he did say there were inspirations, like everything he knew he poured into Galadriel. He had the Eucharist, with the lembas bread, but as far as Almighty God, now he did write that in the Silmarillion, but I mean, it took the man how many years to get that right? But no. Someone asked him, was he God? And he said no. And when Tolkien says something, I listen to him. But it's interesting. Sometimes he could be analogous a little bit maybe to Original Innocence. But again, it's no one-to-one correlation. He was not the creator. Now, as far as them saying, look what these Egypts are saying. They're saying, he's not a character who has a particularly strong agenda. And I'm like, okay. But they say he observes drama, but largely doesn't participate in it. No, he doesn't participate in it at all. At the end of The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, I guess, had hung out with him and he had observed. It's like, yeah, he kind of knew what we did, but he didn't really care. He doesn't participate in it. He's an enigma.
So,
Stop buying to say,
so
hey, and
now they're going to
focus.
have him participate then.
Well, wait for it. Iluvatar represent God. Yes, that is correct. Yes, that's what I say. Yeah. So, but that was in the Silmarillion work, and it was something that was a whole different realm. But yes, you are correct. He is God. I mean, he is God. But as far as like a character that's not God cannot be God. Like the way C.S. Lewis had a lion be Jesus, that he just stayed away from that because he was so strongly religious. He didn't want to put this into his narrative.
Well, the Tolkien wrote basically, pagan books as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Viking stuff and all that. But Tolkien's goal for with the Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth and stuff, it was just to create a fictional prehistory and a mythology
Mm-hmm.
or an alternative mythology for Europe, specifically England, because England didn't have much because the Romans, and whoever else destroyed it. So he basically did what Robert E. Howard did with Conan, created a fictional prehistory for Europe, complete with mythology. And Tolkien took it a bit further, though, with having basically a Genesis in it as well.
Yeah. But again, that was something that he took his whole life to write and never saw published in his lifetime. But these dorks think they can't. Oh, well, I just mixed my rage there. But you know what I'm saying? The story came from within who he was and everything he knew about truth and beauty and love and patriotism. And he couldn't not write it. It just bubbled up from within him. So people thinking they can take on Tom Bombadil, who is a character that even Tolkien, of course he understood it was his character, but even he couldn't put it into words. He just knew he had to be there. And it's almost, I don't like to use the word blasphemy, but it's close to blasphemy to try to incarnate him in any drama, let alone in this garbage. Hey, Tom Bombadil showed up. Tolkien wrote that Tom was an allegory. Tom was the Holy Spirit of the Blessed Trinity.
No.
Can you give me the source for that? Because Tom was there at the beginning, at the point of creation in Middle Earth. He was the sacred fire, as Tolkien say. Tolkien did not want to reveal what he did. Okay, like I said, help me out with the source there. Could you give that to me? So, and I'll address that a bit later, but I would like to see your source before I do. He's not a character who he doesn't largely participate in. Now check this out. The characters kind of just go there and hang out for a while, and Tom drops some knowledge on them.
Well, you could say
that's all that happens.
You could say the same thing about Elrond and Beorn. If you simplify it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's not all that happens. Everyone knows that's not all that happens. We just said what happens. It's the knife that Mary's gonna...
It leads to the Witch King getting killed.
Yes, which saves everybody. Knowledge that's not particularly relevant to anything that they're doing or about to do. Just kill me now. I mean, what is that even supposed to mean? Nothing happened in The Lord of the Rings that didn't infuse or inspire these characters.
Yeah, every chapter had a point. You know, it mattered.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. All right, we're going to continue. Tom was one of the very few who could not be affected by the One Ring. Correct. He did magic tricks with it. He did all sorts of things with it. It's... Oh, why thank you. Follow me on Twitter. It was to show that there is something higher that's going on. I mean, it's open to interpretation. But, okay, I'm going to stop the screen because I'm afraid an ad's going to pop up or something that's going to say, hey, Teresa, since you live at this address. And then they give us a little bit of a story about what happened with Tom Bombadil. Again, they put truth in there without actually... And then they come up with something false. That's also a trick these people use. I mean, I do agree with what Payne says here. He says he can be a force. Well, don't get me started. This is probably the most truthful thing I've heard this dork say. He is challenging to integrate dramatically. If you just take those 4 words, yes. He is challenging, and that's why people decided to drop him. Letter 153, letter 1954. Okay, I will have a look at that. Thank you. So, while I do that, I'm looking here. Oh, look, I can buy a couch. I have no idea what they're advertising there. And he says they were saying Tolkien was hazy about the character's purpose, and he kept Bombadil into the story even though he didn't have a clear purpose plot-wise. And then here they go. They quote Tolkien in a 1954 letter. Tom Bombadil is not an important person to the narrative, Tolkien wrote in 1954 letter to his proofreader for The Lord of the Rings. I suppose he has some importance as a comment. I mean, I do not really write like that. Yeah, you see, people don't understand the way Tolkien writes. I'm going to get rage here. People don't understand how Tolkien writes. Won't go on. Okay. He represents something that I feel important, though I would not be prepared to analyze that feeling precisely. You see, that's what I'm saying is, so when Tolkien talks about what is in his story, that's why it's hard to shoehorn or say definitively, because he himself, he just spoke through the truth of what he knew as truth and beauty. But he knew he had to be here. Okay, I'm looking through the letter here. I'll find it if it's there. Let's see. See, they talk about Treebeard. He talks about. Yeah, he says, I don't think Tom needs philosophizing about. This is Tolkien's letter, and is not improved by it. Many have found him odd and indeed a discordant agreement. In historical fact, I put him in because I had already invented him independently. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, yeah, he kind of named him after the family doll. And then he did some poems, which have some really cool backstory. It says, already follow Treese and Steeg, but will follow Dago too. Yay! Read the letter. He is then an allegory. Okay. Well, look who is here. The High King Feanor is here. I hate this Bombadil news so much. It's just more confirmation that the showrunners never read the books. Well, I'm going to disagree with you, High King Feanor. They read the books. They absolutely read the books. And they just can't deal with it. Yeah.
I'm thinking they skimmed through to just go, oh shit, this is a character we can use. He looks cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm looking here. You want me to read where he says, but allegory? It says he is then an allegory. Okay, I'll keep reading. All right. But we're going to keep going with this here. Thanks, Vianetta. Yeah. All right. So we said that, okay, one reader of the books. Oh, I don't care what one of the readers. Oh, here's the thing. This is actually the 1954 letter where I can't believe they mentioned it. But it says here, and let me share because I can. It says, one reader of the book suggested that Tom Bombadil was a stand-in for God himself, prompting Tolkien to reply in another 1954 letter, I do think you are being too serious, besides missing the point. Above all, Tolkien was determined to not overthink old Tom.
So basically, Tolkien's saying that if you think he's an allegory for God or whatever, you're just overthinking it.
Yeah.
Because that was not the intent.
Yeah. Now, I'll say this, and this is from, they don't give the citation for the letter here, but where it says allegory, he never says Holy Spirit. It says, I do not mean him to be an allegory. Well, yeah, so there it is. Says, I do not mean him to be an allegory, or I should not have given him so particular, individual, and ridiculous a name. But allegory is the only mode of exhibiting certain functions. Here it is. He is then an allegory or an exemplar, a particular embodying of pure, real, natural science, the spirit that desires knowledge of other things, their history and nature, because they are other and wholly independent of the inquiring mind, a spirit coeval with the rational mind and entirely unconcerned with doing anything with the knowledge. And he goes on and talks about the elves and all that. It doesn't say anything about the Holy Ghost there. So help me out. I think they skimmed through the Lord of the Rings wiki.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's we've caught Star Wars writers skimming through the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
A few of them said, yeah, I couldn't have done this without Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all you had to do was watch the movies. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't have time to go through that. I've already gone through that. If you could find me the exact sentence where he calls him the Holy Spirit, I really would be interested because, I like to Catholic explain. So help me out there, Tom Bombadil. All right. The defilement of Bombadil will become the stuff of legends. Mark my words. Oh, heck yes. Oh, heck yes.
Tolkien also said, and this is in a video interview, that there's nothing allegorical in my work.
Yeah.
So what it seems to me is with this quote is that under certain circumstances to the reader, he can be an allegory.
Mm-hmm.
But he's said many times that his work is not allegory.
Yep.
So maybe it's a contradiction thing going on right there.
Yep. Heard someone say that Methdolf is probably going to get his point from Tom. Yeah, yeah. Heck, maybe it's even the hat he has there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything. Oh gosh, I'm just going crazy. Except for Tom. All right.
Yeah, I know he just said he was, but he's also said he wasn't.
Well, no, he never said the whole. If you're talking about the Holy Ghost, if I understand you correctly, he never called him the Holy Ghost. And understand, as a Catholic, we are very specific. If we're talking about a person of the Trinity, he would have used that word. He wouldn't have used it as an allegory. That's why I'm just asking where he actually said it. And other than that, it's, we can debate, we can talk, and we can have interpretations. But I do want to move on with this article here.
Absolutely. Yeah. But he has said both. Definitely he has said both.
Yeah. But he also has the wisdom of...
I can actually see if I can post the clip later today of Tolkien saying that there's nothing allegorical in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. No, and he was very specific about that, and it was because he was such a strong Catholic, and he says that over and over in his works. Even though he'll say, yes, of course it's a Catholic work. Of course, I put everything I know about Christianity into this story. It's also something that he did not want to be specific about, because for him, it would almost be blasphemous. It was like, how dare he try to use the mysteries of the faith? And like I said, even when he did the things with the Iluvatar and all of that, he was very careful to keep it separate from the faith explicitly. And that's why there's no religion in the story as well. But also, he has the wisdom of the time of the ages, music in the spirits. His connection and function are tied to Norse myths and have deep roots in European fairy tale, McKay says. Well, yeah, I mean, of course, the whole thing is. So weirdly, he's kind of the most Lord of the Rings thing in the Lord of the Rings.
Tolkien kind of had a little religion in there, because didn't Sauron create a cult at Numenor?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
it was an anti-religion.
But he didn't go into detail explaining how that one worked, the doctrines and what have you. Just that he got a cult following.
Yeah, that was a part of sub-creation that he felt like he could not touch. The closest he came to any religious ritual in the entire thing from the characters was when Faramir pauses and looks west before they eat, and they kind of bow their heads. But check this out. He's the most Lord of the Rings thing in the Lord of the Rings, and also the first thing you would cut if you were adapting it as a film, yes. But we have the advantage of a television show, and hence we are going to find a way to tap.
Yeah, because it's not like they can create something by themselves. But that is true. The first thing they always cut is Bombadil.
Mm-hmm.
I think they even cut him from radio plays.
Yeah, he's just too hard to adapt.
Yeah, it's like it's okay on paper, but it's not really filmable, is it?
No. Salty Traveling Sea says, he's beyond the Ring and Sauron. Payne and McKay are truly terrorists, spray painting the Sistine Chapel with their agenda and hubris. That is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. Mustache on David.
I have to correct Salty Traveling Sea there, though. It's not their agenda and hubris. It's a pure Mongoloidium. That's what it is. That's the word for it, Mongoloidium.
High King Feanor says, let's be honest, this is key jangling from Amazon. Yeah, but it's the worst kind of key jangling. They're desperate to get some type of recognition from Tolkien fans. And who knows, maybe I'm giving it to them right now. Maybe I am.
Well, it's the same with the Balrog in season 1. It's not supposed to be awake yet.
Mm-hmm.
It awakens between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, right?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, because they start digging too deep.
Mm-hmm.
If they had already dug too deep and woken up the Balrog, surely someone would warn them, hey, there's a Balrog down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love you too, traveling sea.
We all love each other here. Yeah. Tom
Deeply.
Bombadil, maybe that's a discussion for another day. I think it's beyond a little bit what we're going on here. But good idea. It's always good discussion. I'm sorry, are you still loving on Salty?
Yes, that'll never stop.
Oh, okay. I was saying, hey, Salty. Yes. We love Salty Traveling Sea here. Yeah, I remember your interview with him, and you had the best final line. You just go, "Well, we'll censor because I'm want to keep this monetized." You went F Amazon,
What?
and that was kind of it. Maybe you don't remember it. I do.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to. I didn't even know. Because the interview with Salty, what happened was he didn't use StreamYard. He used some kind of stupid shit that slowed my computer. So, I couldn't hear him because it was skipping and stuff. So I had to record it. So he added his question before my recording.
Yeah.
So we cheated. We used technology to make it seem like we were in the same room together. We were not.
You mean you don't live with Salty?
Nope.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sad. No, but it was great. It was great. That I loved it. And there's different rules for monetization. I'm still trying to figure out. Now, look at this. Just look at this. I mean, what the?
Is that the apostles?
No, it's like John the Baptist. You're right. Are they going to start eating locusts? But you know what it looks like? He looks like a young Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Yes, or some kind of farmer they pass in a Monty Python movie.
Oh gosh, you're right. I didn't vote for you. No, Tom was not in the cartoon. No. It's awful. Yeah. Hiking Feanor says, Steve brought up the Balrog. What's particularly egregious about that example is that they had an original design for it and offered to pilfer from the Jackson music instead. Pearl key jangly. Yeah. And they take the worst parts of those. The worst parts from the Peter Jackson movie, like the excessive slow motion, the silliness of Legolas in The Return of the King.
Yeah. I mean, some of the Legolas stuff was too far.
Mm-hmm.
It broke immersion, and maybe especially in the Hobbit, in the third one, and the first one when they fight the goblins. You're not going to worry for the character if every action scene is slapstick, right? Because that's like watching, He-Man fight Skeletor. Or something.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, but that is not Tom Bombadil. That is not the man who was like before all. That's not the man that's even supposed to inspire like the nature and the fairy spirit or whatever it is of the man of legend. That's not a man who could juggle the ring and not give one rat's rear end.
His house looks cozy though, but it sure as heck doesn't look like Bombadil's home.
No,
it looks like a cozy farmhouse. Yes, I'll give them that. But it's supposed to look different, isn't it? Bombadil's house, more Hobbit-ish, and
Yep. Yeah, it's like a magical other world. But I'll tell you what. Just wait till we get to the end of this article. Though, of course, obviously, we're not going to read it all. Now, see, again, they're saying some truth here from one of Tolkien's letters.
The best lies have some truth in them.
Mm-hmm. The story is cast in terms of a good side. These are Tolkien's words. And a bad side. Beauty against ruthless ugliness. Tyranny against kingship. Moderated freedom with constant against compulsion that has long lost any object save mere power. Oh. The question of the rights and wrongs of power and control might become utterly meaningless to you and the means of power quite valueless. See, they don't even know what that means. I mean, yes, that's Tolkien's words.
Yeah, but they're tossing them in there just so they can, I'll use Tolkien quotes.
Okay, now get ready. This is what made me blow a gasket. Our production designer had the idea of incorporating a star map on his ceiling to connect Tom with the larger universe and indicate that he had been watching the constellations for signs and for the stranger's arrival.
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes no sense with what they were even just saying. So Tom
Yeah,
Bombadil has a star map on his ceiling, and is that supposed to be
and
the star map? That's the ugliest star map I've ever seen.
well, here's the thing: if they just said he wasn't invested in anything, so why would he sit there and watch a star map to pay attention to stuff when it just said he doesn't pay attention to anything or get involved?
Yeah. So now they're saying
It's
this is how he gets
yeah,
involved, and that he was looking through the stars for a sign of Gandalf's coming. What?
does it have the does it mark when Saruman and the Blue Wizards and Radagast arrives too, or
Yeah. And why would he need a star map? And why would he make it on his ceiling? And why would he even care?
yeah, they
I
just
mean,
said he doesn't care about that stuff. So which is it?
yeah. Well, I think what they're saying is this is how we decided to incorporate it. And just wait. We're going to be, I tell you now, we're going to be gaslit. And this is where a lot of people get confused about what Tolkien said. They're going to be, well, Tolkien said, his religion was kind of in it. It was incorporated in it. And didn't the three wise men look at the stars to wait for Jesus? They're going to do that. Those people that call themselves Tolkien scholars, quote unquote, we know who they are. They're going to gaslight us. And it's like, well, I guess you don't like Tolkien. They're going to use that. They're going to use the wise men and say this is how it fits with Tolkien.
Yep.
Yeah. High King Feanor says, I'm terrified about Goldberry. You just know they're going to absolutely ruin her. Yeah, we actually said earlier that there's a reason why she's not shown. I think I told you that too on Twitter. You know what they're going to do with Goldberry.
Yeah. It's going to be Brownberry.
Yeah. The wiki doesn't describe his house, so they can't get it right. Oh, there we go. Well played. Oh gosh, you're making me do the cackle. Well played, Adega. Well played. Pardon me, will I go throw up? Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't believe it. So now he is a farmer with a hut. And frankly, it could be Hagrid's hut in the new adaptation of the Harry Potter with stars on his ceiling so he can keep track.
Yeah,
this
so they can
is a
find
man
out.
who juggles the ring.
It's so they can find old pieces of it, so they can find where Palpatine's clone is.
Exactly. And
yeah.
Why would he be looking for the stranger? He doesn't look for anything.
Nope.
Yeah. Good point, Soul Assassin. What's with every modern take of a franchise needing a star map? Mm-hmm. Precisely. We need a star map.
Oh, it's because the writers are outside jacking off, looking up at the stars, thinking about themselves. Their focus determines their reality.
Yeah. Well done. Good. Apparently, Rolex. I'm trying to get out of this Rolex advertisement.
That should take some time.
Oh, well done. And here's where they're going to, again, take a little bit of Tolkien and mess with it. They say, ultimately, only the victory of the West will allow Bombadil to continue or even to survive. Nothing would be left for him in the world of Sauron, Tolkien wrote. Yes, that is true. But we also know that when Gandalf was hanging with him, he was just like, ho hum, oh, you destroyed the ring. Okay, that's cool. So he even then had his devil may care attitude. But guess what they do? They take that and they pull it out of their buttocks, and guess what they say? I'll tell you what they said. I'm getting rage, but actually this is good because it's distracting me from my cat, my kitty cat. All right. This was the key. Here we go. Here we go. Maybe they have the star map because remember they said we looked at it as stars in the sky that we could connect the dots. That's what they said about season 1. We started thinking, what does he care about? Oh my gosh, he doesn't care. And how can that be a doorway to drama? You don't need a doorway to drama. You don't need it. It's Tom Bombadil.
They just said it was above drama.
Yes, exactly.
You know what?
Yeah.
If they wanted it to make like a little bit of sense, have Saruman have a star map.
Yeah, he would be the type that might have that, but
yeah,
that's
why
would Bombadil of all just need
it would make it would make more sense, even though it wouldn't make much sense that it would, Saruman would have a star map. But Bombadil's like the one guy who wouldn't. Heck, they could have had some kind of hobbit or elf living somewhere that was an astrologer, and they had to go to him.
Mm-hmm.
Make up an original character. This is like this doesn't fit at all with Bombadil. You know what? It might even fit with Elrond that he has a star map in the show at least. Yeah.
Yeah, if they wanted to pull things out of their butts, they could.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have the key that they don't even need. We know he cares about the natural world. Do you see how their thinking is going? Oh, because 1 + 1 is 1 + 1. We're going to make 1 + 1 = 5. That's the kind of logic they have. Since we know he cares about the natural world, I added the since. And we know he's a helper. Oh, because he's a helper, that's going to make this okay? I'm
they're doing they had an idea, and now they're trying to stretch things to make it, to justify.
Yeah. And see how they started off with using Tolkien quotes? It's like, yeah, when I read those quotes, I said, therefore, I can do this Bolshevik.
Well,
he's a
Hiking
helper.
Feanor in
Wouldn't
the chat
he help them?
Hiking Feanor in the chat has a point. He said they did that last season. They killed off their original Hobbit Star Eater. He was right there.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
What did they call him? I heard someone call him Papa Smurf. Because he kind of acted like Papa Smurf.
Kind of accurate.
Yeah. That they did that last season. Oh, you're right. So now they're just transferring it to Tom freaking Bombadil? So they're saying, well, he helps. Well, then why wouldn't he help? He's not going to push you, but he will help you. And so traditionally, he lives in this place called Witherwindle, which is a sort of almost enchanted forest. Okay, here we go, kids. Here we go. For the series, they took the liberty. See how they're moving us from we're being faithful to now they're taking the liberty. In other words, we are pulling this straight up out of our orifices.
By that you mean ass.
Yes. And we mean donkey. And we're not talking about a donkey. They literally hiking
the retcon rectum.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Oh, they're literally retrying season 1 and just moving around a few pieces. Yeah, they can't come up with anything else. Yeah. McKay, Tom has knowledge not particularly relevant to anything, but they're doing or about to do read the Hobbits, making it up. Darn right. Well, and then watch. I got to be careful here because goodness knows. All right. So far, they haven't doxed me. Yay. They're giving him a second home. Did you hear that? I don't know. Maybe you didn't hear that. So I'm going to say it again. I'm trying not to keep the microphone near my face because I'm starting to yell. They're giving Tom Bombadil a second home.
Yeah, because they couldn't figure out what to do with the first one. Oh, that also explains why it didn't look like Bombadil's home earlier. So there was an explanation for that.
You see how they started off with, it can fit with the cannon. Well, because, and then it's on the...
Goldberry and Bombadil might have had a child, and that child is Smaug too. It doesn't say it's not.
Yeah. Hey,
so
actually,
it could fit in the
careful.
canon. What? Oh yeah, because that could fit in the canon too, because it doesn't say otherwise.
Yeah. That's why I said be careful. Don't give them ideas. I could actually see them doing that. Well, we also know, and this is Hiking Feanor's theory, I remember him talking about it, that they were going to do even weirder stuff with them, but the reason why it's been taking them so long is because they had to reshoot it because those leaks were real. Gadfly fiction is here. The Barrow Whites will miss him, darn right. Oh no, Bomba went out for six and never came back.
Mark my words. They're going to use the Barrow Whites. Which, you know why? I get why they were left out of the movie. Because there would be, another group of whites. Ring Wraiths, Barrow Whites. It would be similar, wouldn't it? Would confuse the modern audience.
Yeah. That's exact. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm still in a rage. I still have to continue.
Oh, you know what? Goldberry probably kicked him out because he was being a toxic male. That's why he's at his second home.
You're exactly right. Well, that's what he kind of said. She was giving him lip. Oh, no, we do not. Oh. And then it says, in our story, okay, so now you're admitting, you see how they slowly admit who and what they are. They did the same thing last time. In our story, he's gone out to the lands of ruin, which we learn used to be sort of Edenic and green and beautiful, but now a sort of dread wasteland. It's where the Easterlings are. What the hell, Edenic? Tom has gone out to see what's happened as he goes on his various wanderings. Tom doesn't give a crap about what's going on. Oh, maybe. Oh, Proto-Bear. Oh, you think it wasn't the Barrow-Whites? You think it was the Proto-Nazgul? Probably. It's probably all of those.
Oh, they're going to have those in there too? I was just thinking they're going to use the Barrow-Whites as well.
Yeah, you didn't see the trailer. Oh, wait, you did. You saw some of it with Mara, I think. Yeah. But Seeks, I think, saying they're going to do both. They're going to do all of it. It's not even. Yeah. They're gonna have the old man Willow. They're going to have him. Oh, whatever they're going to have him sing. I mean, we thought that Disney princess autotune, like Emma Watson in the live action Beauty and the Beast song, was bad. We ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, and who else they might use? Gildor, the elf that they run across early in the book. It was Gildor, wasn't it?
What? Wait. I'm sorry. I was moving the thing. I heard you say Gildor. What about Gildor?
They're going to use him. Gildor in the Fellowship of the Ring, the elf they encounter at the beginning.
Okay, so they're going to somehow pull it out of their arses that he's going to be in there.
Yeah, he's probably... Well, he would be alive at that point, wouldn't he? But I wouldn't be surprised if they use him too. Like, oh yeah, look, Gildor.
And since he's descended from Oh, Finrod and all of that. Don't even get me started. They're going to just pull it. Yes, please follow us, even though we're bitter. Tom
Oh,
of the
you don't have to follow me on Twitter. I, not trying to build the following or anything like that.
Oh, but you put cool stuff on there. It's a
Yeah, but
right.
I'm not doing it to get more followers. I use Twitter to stay in touch with people. That's it, and piss on shows and whatever.
Invent, yeah. Well, see, so now we know. Well, we knew this from the end of the Rings of Power season 1. That's where, from Jonathan, not me, the dirty little sociopath Nori and Poppy. Wait. So Poppy. In other words, not Frodo and not Sam, as they escort the amnesiac wizard known as the Stranger.
They had him do that stamp the staff into the ground thing too in the trailer.
Yes, because, and again, those are things from the movie. I mean, well, some of the things were in the book, but the visual way that they do it, like they're copying the way that Peter Jackson had them do it.
Well, they copied stuff from Kate Blanchett movies for their Galadriel. The line where she says they're, yeah, well, others too, I think. But when she yells, "There's a tempest in me," well, in Queen Elizabeth with Kate Blanchett, she yells, "There's a hurricane in me."
Yeah.
And oddly enough, she's also wearing an armor that's almost identical to the one Galadriel wears in the movie. So that they probably just looked at Kate Blanchett stuff and how can we make our actor channel Kate Blanchett?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's disgusting. Yeah, High King says, Feiner says, was just thinking they got rid of Celeborn. They might have just cut Goldberry out. Benevolent, beautiful maidens aren't exactly a welcome in Hollywood. Just look at what they did to Galadriel. Yeah, I actually think they are going to have Goldberry, but they're scared to show her because they're going to uglify her. But you're also right. They may just cut her out completely. Oh, gosh. Soul said, if you listen carefully, you can hear Teresa's rubbing her forehead because of the article cringe. I'm doing. My hands are gesturing. It's a good thing I don't have any drinks or anything in my hand, including a cat. I am completely free because they would all be dead.
That needs to happen on a stream somewhere on YouTube. Someone getting so pissed they kill their cat on the stream.
No.
And then sue the writers of an article or whatever for making it happen.
There you go. Well, my cat's on her way out, so I'll just blame it on them. I'll say that she had psychological distress from me doing this. All right. And that's partly why I'm doing this, so I don't focus on her. I'm trying to focus on the positive. Well, not the positive, the rage and stuff as I'm living day to day. But I digress. Expect Tom Bombadil to offer the stranger some rare compassion in his merciless place as pain. I'm going to start calling them Benioff and Weiss, except I think that's an insult to Benioff and Weiss. When he finally crosses paths with the stranger, you could say he has a desire to try to keep the destruction that has happened there from spreading to his beloved lands in the West. Oh, kill me now. We already talked about it. Damn it. We talked about it.
Another thing, though,
didn't care.
They're offering, Bombadil's going to be offer rare compassion in this otherwise merciless place. Middle Earth is not a merciless place.
Well,
it's
this
actually
is but this is the East. They're trying to say it's where the Easterlings are.
Oh, it's in the East. I thought they meant the world in general.
No,
My bad.
No. I think that's what they're talking about. Son of a biatch. He nudges the stranger along his journey, which he knows will eventually protect the larger natural world he cares about. Oh, well, if the stranger, not Gandalf, even if it turns out to be Sauron, even if it turns out to.
Well, here's another question. If he's just going to nudge him, having a star map and all that stuff is kind of elaborate just for a nudge. That's a lot of planning for a nudge.
Yeah. Now check this out. Yeah. So I'd say our Tom Bombadil is slightly more interventionist than you see in the books, but only by 5 or 10%. Dorks, you just got done saying you moved him to be closer to be involved. He's looking at the stars. He's friggin'.
Well, if
I don't know. It's like Battlestar Galactica. Everyone's been ripping off Battlestar Galactica with the whole. But that's a map to the stars. But I digress. All right. Now check this out. They talk about Rory Kinnear. Now check this out before we get started. He was a Lord of the Rings novice before signing on to the Rings of Power. You see, and when he was offered the part, he hadn't actually read it. But again, I don't blame Rory Kinnear because I'm sure there's lots of actors that haven't read the source material until they've been cast in something. And he is a good actor. I've seen him in a few things, but he was M's chief of staff in the James Bond movies. He's Frankenstein. And you were saying, was that where you were saying you saw him in Penny Dreadful?
Yeah, he is. He does a 10 out of 10 in that one.
Oh, let's see. Tom Bombadil. At least he will make people talk about Tom, which is good. Well, I guess. You see, and that's one thing. Maybe a positive can come out of it, making lemonade out of lemons. But damn, I got to recognize. He said, "Well, thank you for being here, King Feanor. Yeah, let the rage flow. It's ridiculous. Ugh. Let's see." And he's saying that his partner knew about him, saying he's my favorite in all the books. Okay. Okay, they talk a little bit about Jackson, but they can just, who cares? And they talk about the origins of Tom Bombadil. And now we have another
Jackson
picture.
Seems to be jump.
Wait, Jackson seems to be what now?
He seems to be jumping on the same bandwagon, though, with this new movie he's going to make. Hello?
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, sorry about that. Yes. Yeah. Oh, you mean about the Rings of Gollum?
Yeah, the hunt for Gollum thing. It's like that's like just a few paragraphs in the book, and he's going to make a whole movie out of it. I mean, he's jumping on the same shit as this.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, look at this. And look at his boots.
Yeah, and his clothes. He looks like some kind of, well, like I said, it was some kind of apostle.
Yeah. He's out in the wilderness crying, prepare. Oh, you probably just gave him an idea. They're going to say, oh, he's like an apostle because, Tolkien was Catholic. So, of course, it makes sense we put in an apostle. Look, he's got beehives there. Oh, look, that must mean he's natural. They put flowers in, but it still looks like crap. I can hear Lady Gravemaster screaming from the high heavens around the earth.
Oh.
Because you know how she feels about Tom Bombadil and his clothes.
I wouldn't want to be near her when she first reads it.
I haven't.
I've heard stories about her throwing cupcakes at people.
Cupcakes will fly. Gadfly Fiction says the issue with people getting introduced to Tom in this way is that it will inevitably taint people's perceptions of him if they go to the books, and that is deliberate subversion of the story. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, already.
I've actually mentioned that a few times when it comes to other stuff. Like the Shannara TV show, which doesn't look at all like the books. It's like nothing. So if I had watched a TV show without having ever read the books, right, and that was
Mhm.
my impression of it, I wouldn't even read the books.
No.
I'd have no interest.
Yep.
So tainting the source material is exactly what this is doing, and
Yep.
it happened with well, it's happened, with The Witcher,
Mm-hmm.
Wheel of Time, definitely. Shannara, the was it the Sword of Truth, which is no, sorry, the Legend of the Seeker, which was based on the Sword of Truth books, and they stuck to the books for one episode there, so it
Yeah.
taints it.
Yeah. Now check this out. This is from Tolkien. Old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow. Bright blue his jacket is, and his boots are yellow. Green were his girdle, and his breeches all of leather. He wore in his tall hat a swan wing feather. Now look at this. Look at this. Don't tell me that this is Tolkien, and don't tell me that this is.
It just looks generic.
Yeah. I mean, I think you were right when you said it would. It looks like a farmer that people run across when they're like, "We're hungry. Do you have any meat?" And it's like, "Well, I have some stew. Why don't you come in?" I mean, really. All right. I'm going to go a little further along here. I don't want to make people. Oh, boy. Oh, they say that the people that described it, his vibrant homestead, that picture was not a vibrant homestead. Why do these people keep wanting to sell me Botox? Okay. They had the idea that his summer cottage should be an oasis life in the middle of the desert, dotted with an orange and lemon trees and busy with goat, lambs, and bees. But that didn't look like an oasis. It's like they tried, but uh oh. I'm sitting here groaning in rage. And then they go and once again throw in a paragraph from The Lord of the Rings. I'm not going to bother reading that. Talks about how he is. Yes, he does have a long brown beard. His eyes were blue and bright, his face red and ripe as an apple, and his creased into 100 wrinkles of laughter. I mean, we're crying out loud. Okay, the no. Oh gosh. Oh, here's the other part. Here's the other part. We're about ready to get more rage. He doesn't look jolly. Heck no, he doesn't look jolly. It looked like a cave. Yeah. Again, Steve is right. It looks like either St. John in the desert or both St. John the Baptist kind of looking
Yeah.
crazy or eating locusts and honey and scaring everybody. Gadfly Fiction says their tongue looks like they took the original art and then made everything browner and duller. Yeah, you've got it. Uh, this is the actor. He says the big thing is. Let me share this. The big thing is, how's he going to talk? There are lots of different dialects and accents going on throughout the show. Oh, don't we know? They use that horrible stereotypical anti-Hibernian thing with the sociopaths. And I wanted him to be somewhat distinct from those. Kinnear says, But I also wanted to choose an accent that felt old, that was British, but felt like the oldest parts of Britain. Now, wait for it. The notion hit him while swimming off the coast of Cornwall. He's like, oh, it's just so great.
You didn't swim far enough.
I remember looking at the rocks and thinking, the things that it's seen, the sailors that have passed by. When I was thinking the oldest part of Britain, that's where I naturally found myself being led. So I worked with Lee McPherson, the dialect coach, on getting a Cornish accent together. He is going to have a Cornish accent. If you know anything about English dialects and stuff, Tom freaking Bombadil is going to have a Cornish accent. I'm scaring people off because I'm yelling, but come on. Genie macaroni. Oh, and then here they go. Obviously not to me. It says, as season 2 of the Rings of Power gets underway, Tom Bombadil offers aid and comfort, not just to the stranger, but also to the audience. Excuse me? Where's the comfort? Season 1 set the pieces on the chessboard. In Season 2, the pieces are in motion, and it's really about the villains. Oh, let me share this. Oh. And here's a laugh. You've got Sauron, not Sauron, who's not cloaked behind the guise of the human refugee Halbrand anymore. Everyone knew that Halbrand was Sauron. The audience knows he's Sauron. Yeah, we did. We knew him before the thing even started. So now we're watching him maneuver as he's manipulating the burn scar-covered dark elf Adar, who's another big villain of the season. Oh.
Yeah, he's like Sauron outed himself to Galadriel, and now he's gonna put on a wig and go walk among the elves. It's like Prince Adam disguising himself as He-Man and just changing the clothes.
Yeah. And goodness knows how they're going to try to make that come about. Oh, yeah. Adar, fantastically acted by Uncle Benjen from Game of Thrones. Yeah, it was so good that he jumped ship after season 1. He jumped ship with his dignity. They had to recast him. Oh, now just imagine this. Really, Tom is sort of a curiosity within that structure, because while it is darker, Tom Bombadil is singing. Oh, and you know me, I love singing. I love singing. Like the singing of the dwarves in the Misty Mountains, the song The Misty Mountains in Bilbo's kitchen or whatever. That was so amazing. The way that they had Aragorn singing very slightly in the Fellowship of the Rings. They had a way of making it not cheesy and weird. But we're going to have Tom Bombadil singing and saying lines that could be nursery rhymes from children's poems. So he sort of defies the tonal shift of the rest of the season and is a real point of light amidst an otherwise sea of darkness. Oh. Tom Bombadil brings us levity while remaining somewhat in the shadows himself. Payne and McCabe decided not to answer any questions about the character that Tolkien himself left deliberately unresolved. As Smith puts it, Perhaps the only answer to the enigma that is Tom Bombadil is simply to accept that, as Tolkien wrote in Lord of the Rings, he is. What the hell are they trying to say with that? Ugh. They're not going to try to answer any questions about the character that's Tolkien himself left deliberately unresolved, but they're just going to have him do all sorts of things that Tolkien never dreamed of him doing. He has a star map. And I'll tell you what, if they go deep, if they start delving into astrology with it, okay, no judgment on anyone that does astrology. It's a free place if that's your thing. However, Tolkien, oh, hell no. Hey, Yale, no. If they get explicit with it, I should say. Because that would be bad. Gadfly Affliction says, what they are trying to say is that however they try to portray him is perfectly acceptable because since he's an enigma, any interpretation of it is correct. Yes, exactly. That's going back to the, well, Tolkien never said he didn't do this, or he couldn't do that, or he couldn't have had a second home, or he couldn't have had a star map looking for the stranger when he could care less about anything. So there. And this is before we know what they're going to do to Goldberry. So there it is. Any thoughts, Stieg? Or did I lose you? Maybe I lost you. Oh, there he is.
No, it's I'm just baffled.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
It's Mongoloidium.
I'm trying to imagine. Okay, everything that they said they're going to try to do are the things that mother effing Peter Jackson, okay, we're talking about the Peter Jackson that made the Lord of the Rings trilogy, couldn't find a way to do. And it wasn't because it was film and not television. Honestly, the only place you could probably get away with Tom Bombadil maybe would be in a stage show, because you can get away with things on the stage that you cannot get away with on film. But even then, I mean, this just makes my head hurt. Yes, Soul Assassin, we're going to smash a lot of... Wait, that sounded wrong. Suddenly, Miss Martin Muses gets real. All right, so that's my rage. Actually, this helped me. I needed a nice distraction from my other concerns of life. But screw this crap. And the thing that gets me is they keep acting like they're doing it in conjunction with Tolkien, that this is something Tolkien... I hate it when people try to put themselves into Tolkien.
They also seem to think they have talent.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't trust them to DM D&D.
Anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, I have seen people, Joseph Pierce, Tom Shippey. You know, everyone goes to Tom Shippey. There's a reason why. They've written hundreds of pages about this because they can't freaking take on Tom Bombadil or have the nerve to think they could represent him. And it's such it's an enigma. It's true. You see, everything they say is true, but everything they say is wrong. But we can do it. The same way that with the orcs, actually, I have a clip that I'm eventually going to run as we get closer to the Lord of the Rings, where we were talking about the way they think they can tackle the origin of the orcs. And I'm like, maybe somebody could. Maybe if you're Thomas freaking Aquinas, you could touch it. But these people are no Thomas Aquinas. These people are no Aristotle. These people are definitely, absolutely not even close to Tolkien. And to say that they were trying to manipulate around it. And this is why, even though I might be very mad at Jackson in a few years, I never remember him saying, well, this is us doing what Tolkien couldn't or wouldn't. There was a respect for it.
Yeah. And people like Christopher Lee kept him in line.
Yeah. I mean, he's scary enough. I mean, when... Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I'm starting to get into incoherent rage. I'm going to break into tongue soon if I'm not careful. So that's it, everyone. And chat, if you have any last words, please let us know. And all of you that will be watching on the replay, I needed to vent this out and encourage people. If maybe you have this in your head, erase it as fast as you can and go read the original works of Tolkien. Go read the poems that he wrote about Tom Bombadil. I do want to pose one more question to you, Steve. Do you think after all of this, they are going to bait and switch or something and have it not be Gandalf?
I think it's intended to be Gandalf, but I wouldn't put it past them to have them, switch just to, tell people, yeah, we got you. It could be that they're switching into Radagast because apparently they don't have the rights to use the name Gandalf.
That's interesting.
I think, don't quote me on it though, but
yeah.
I think I read it somewhere. Doesn't mean it's true. But yeah.
Yeah. We'll look into that because I think, well, my source for this is Gary, but he tends to be real sourced on these things. He said that they didn't have the right to Hobbit either.
No, they absolutely don't have the rights to Hobbits.
Yeah. Soul Assassin says, probably the most truth that we've read. I was making a diss on the article, not other people in the chat. This season is going to make a lot of channels, a lot of subs. Yep. And I don't know if it's going to make me a lot of subs, but I'm going to be one of them this time around. I wasn't in place last time to cover it, but I'm ready now. I want to do this. And I'm going to be watching it. It's going to be interesting because when I finally watched the first season properly, I was completely divorced from it. Everything was so not the story, so it didn't ruin it for me. And yeah, those Harfoots are weird. Look who's here. It is Jacob Ironside. Hey, Teresa and Stieg. Hello. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we just got done with the article about how they're so smart. They're smarter than Tolkien. And, well, to be honest, it's pretty darned arrogant to think they're even smarter than Peter Jackson. As I've said, objectively speaking, Peter Jackson is a masterful storyteller, or what he pulled off with The Lord of the Rings was masterful. They can't even touch that. Oh, hello. Sub to Jade Shadow. She deserves more subs than she has. Yes, she does. Agreed. Now, is she streaming tonight, Steek? Or I think she's not. I think she might be taking time off. I don't know. But you're not. You're not streaming with her. Yeah. I think I heard her say something.
No, I think the next one we're doing is what?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I think the next one I'm doing with her is one of the. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. Again, I think we're having lag, and that's why because sorry. Mea culpa. All right. Well, stay tuned to Jade Shadow. Either way, yes, please do sub to her. And if you want to go over her and Stieg's rants about the trailer, please go ahead and do so as well. Now, I know that I'm going to be on some of her streams eventually, and I know that she's invited you, Stieg, of course, and many other
I'll be
people
on
that
if I'm
are.
awake.
You'll be on. Yes, Siegel will be on if you're awake. So no promises, and I can't make any promises either. But I do hope to be on this time around when I can. So and maybe some other channels as well because I love Tolkien so much, and I've been upset over the last few days because I hate the hashtag respect Tolkien. I won't use it. I despise it because I think people have not been very respectful to Tolkien. Not everybody, but you've got to respect Tolkien. You can disagree with Tolkien, but you've got to look at him and present him and his writings the way he gave them to us. The extreme version is what these Egypts are doing. But I also feel very strongly when I see it elsewhere. It's not our job to put words into the mouth of the dead. Or if you're a believer, hopefully he's in the beatific vision, or at least in purgatory. If he is in purgatory, he's going to get out soon from all of this. That's not necessarily theologically correct. See my Catholic explaining one day. One day I'll tackle purgatory, but I digress. He's my brother in the faith. And that's a topic for another day. But also, he loved England. This man loved England and his country so much. And these dorks, well, first of all, they keep trying to say they're little shills and things, saying, oh, he didn't mean it to be for England. He didn't mean it for that. Yes, he did. Okay, I got the letter that proves it. I've got all the other writings. You think we've all been wrong? He loved England so much. He loved England. He loved his family. He loved his God. All of these things that he poured into his work with so much love. And these guys who apparently, like people have been saying earlier, doesn't even seem like they've read anything but the wiki, think they can outdo him. Do you realize what would happen to me if I tried to present a competition, even to students, and say, I've got the opera Puccini never wrote? I'd be laughed off the stage. No, I'd be laughed off the stage even for living people like Andrew Lloyd Webber or John Williams. Imagine this. I'm going to write the score John Williams never wrote. Imagine if some Egypt said that who was doing these new Star Wars things.
Yeah, trying to make it. Haven't even said it.
Actually, frankly, I'm surprised too, but maybe at least musicians have a bit of a soul. And even though Howard Shore did a few things for the Rings of Power, even he could not write anything inspiring for it. It's very bland. Some of his most bland music. And Bear McCreary, he's done some good work too. Same idea. The same way the original pieces that John Williams wrote for the sequel trilogy just fell flat. Not anything wrong with John Williams, but the inspiration wasn't there. And even the greatest artist, if he doesn't have a great inspiration, he can only do so much. Yeah, he's trying to make for the Lost Stories for England. Yeah, he loved it so much. Gosh darn it. So when I see anyone crapping on it, like these people do, as though it's just something else, and people just don't understand, please, everyone, read Author of the Century by Tom Shippey. That's probably the best and the easiest work that he did that encompasses what Tolkien is all about in ways that I could only dream of writing. I'm a historian. I'm an interpreter. I don't come up with original things. Rather, I synthesize what is true from the sources. All right, well, let's go ahead and thank everyone that's been here. It has been Soul Assassin, Jacob Ironside. We had Tom Bombadil. Nice thank you for coming in. Gadfly Fiction. Who else? We had High King Feanor, who caused all the problems. Thank you for the Cimarils. You jerk. We had Adega Outlaw. Yay, V for Vianetta. I said Adega Outlaw. Salty Traveling Sea. if I missed anyone, please, pretty please forgive me that everything jumps around and we had loads of people coming in and out. I love you all. I would be nothing without you in the chat and all the support that you've given me from the very beginning and the contributions that you make to these discussions. Now, Steve, can you, of course, thank you, but also can you share where you're going to be?
I think maybe next week, Maura and I are doing a talk. No, sorry, not talk. The one with the good and funny and weird news.
Yay!
Maybe that's next week. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. That's one of my favorite ones, actually, though the top 10 ones are pretty darn awesome. And stay tuned for me. I actually have another Tolkien letter coming up, not about this. I've already shared my Tom Bombadil one, reshared it, but there's a new movie about C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien in the making. It's called Fellowship. So I put together a letter, a very sad letter. It almost makes me cry when you think about it, because we all know toward the last 10 years of C.S. Lewis's life, they fell apart, or rather they drifted apart. And I have the letter from Tolkien's point of view of why that happened. So it's very sad, but it happens. It happens with the best of us as we move along. So that's going to be coming up. Also, I have more House of the Dragon videos. I have more Lord of the Rings content. And I think, is that all? Oh, penguins. Penguins. I'm making a compilation from the live stream that we did, Stieg. So we're going to talk about your superior officer, the Major General Nils Olaf III. So there you go. If you like penguins, penguin. That's awesome, Jacob. Please put your link in the chat. He's almost there. 149. And is that 149? Yes, it is 149 that are needed. And do you need watch hours, Jacob? I'll try to help you with that too. So have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to only read the original works of J.R.R. Tolkien, and everything else, screw it.